Hi everyone, and welcome back to Joy's Reading Time. I thought, what book would I read today? And what came to me was this book called The Rules of Love by Richard Templar. I've had this book quite a long time actually. And the reason why I thought of reading this book, because I'm a qualified counsellor and I also do spiritual readings, and a lot of these readings are all about love by males and females, and a lot of people come to counselling as well about relationships. So I thought that was interesting to look at. I feel relationships are a big topic for people. So looking through it, I thought, let me start with the first two paragraphs of the introduction. I remember like, subscribe and comment and share. And I hope you find this book useful, and I will read the next part of it if you would like me to. So we start off with the introduction. Love. It's simple, isn't it? You love your family and your friends, and they love you back. You find a partner whom you love and who loves you too. And you don't even have to try. It just happens. All true, but if you're reading this book, you've already know full well that it's much more complicated than that. Love between people almost always has its complications because people are complicated. Love can be tried and tested and stretched to its limits. Sometimes we love the wrong person. We can love too much or not enough. We can feel it but not know how to show it. We can think love is enough when actually it isn't. We can struggle to find it or be unsure if you found it or not. And sometimes we think it's still there, but we can feel it ebbing away and don't know how to restore it to its full glory. And it's true, I agree with that. Love is very complicated. Relationships are very complicated because it's two different people coming together. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the first rule. And the first rule this Richard Templar says is, Rule 1, be yourself. Isn't it just so tempting to reinvent yourself when you meet somebody new who you really fancy, or to try and be with who you think or to try and be who you think they're looking for? You could become really sophisticated, or maybe strong and silent and mysterious. At least you could stop embarrassing yourself by making jokes at inappropriate moments or being pathetic about coping with problems. Actually, no, you couldn't. At least you might manage it for an evening or two, or even a month or two, but it's going to be tough keeping it up forever. And if you think this person is the one, you know the one, then you might be spending the next half century or so with them. Just imagine 50 years of pretending to be sophisticated or suppressing your natural sense of humour. That would be difficult. That's not going to happen, is it? And would you really want a lifetime of lurking behind some sham personality you've created? Imagine how that would be, unable ever to let on that this wasn't really you at all, for fear of losing them. And suppose they find out in a few weeks or months or years' time, when you finally crack, you're not going to be very impressed. They're not going to be very impressed, and nor would you be if it was them who turned out to have been acting out of character all along. I'm not saying you shouldn't try to turn over the occasional new leaf. Improve yourself a bit. We should all be doing that all the time, and not only in our love life. Sure, you can try to be a bit more organised or less negative. Changing your behaviour is all fine and good. This rule is about changing your basic personality. That won't work, and you'll tie yourself in knots trying to do it convincingly. So be yourself. Might as well get it all out in the open now. And if that's not who they're looking for, at least you won't get in too deep before they find out. And you know what? Maybe they don't actually like sophisticated. Perhaps strong, silent types don't do it for them. Maybe they love your upfront sense of humour. Perhaps they want to be with someone who needs a bit of looking after. You see, if you fake it, you attract someone who belongs with a person that isn't you. And how will that help? Somewhere out there is someone who wants exactly the kind of person you are, complete with all the flaws and failings you come with. And I tell you something else, they won't even see them as flaws and failings. They see them as part of your unique charm, and they'll be right. And that is true. I do like that. What I also will say is sometimes some people do feel they want a certain character. Some people think, oh, I'm a quiet guy and, or a quiet girl, for instance, and they might feel, oh, I want someone who's really bubbly, bright, and, a lot of fun. And then afterwards you can become too much for them. And they realize, no, you're not exactly what I want. And what they would do, they may try and change you. And you end up not knowing, well, who am I exactly? And that is not good either. So it's true to be yourself, but also if you have someone who's always want to be critical of who you are, that is something you've got to consider and think, well, am I with this right person? Because it seems like I'm not right for them if they're always criticizing me. And in the truth, as he said, in the long run, you just want to be yourself. It's a lot easier. Not saying you may not have to curve this and that sometime, but just be who you are. Okay, rule number 2. Get over it before you get on with it. I agree with this one. We all get battered and bruised by life. That's inevitable. Some of us come off worse than others. Of course, it is scars that give us character. So they're not all bad in the long run. But in the short term, we may need to recover before we re-enter the fray. If your love relationship or two has left you a bit of emotional wreck, it's better to repair the damage before you start looking for a new lover and partner. Otherwise, you won't be able to show them the real you, and you won't be able to focus on them if you're still preoccupied with yourself. If you make a mistake with your new relationship, and it happens to all of us, you could end up more bruised than you started. And even if you did manage to find someone truly caring and loving, both of you could suffer for the fact that one of you wasn't ready yet to launch into a relationship. And this does happen a lot. It's best to heal before getting into a relationship. I have a friend who came out of our relationship an emotional wreck. Then she met a man who was lovely, kind, nurturing, protective. Just what she thought she needed. Over the next couple of years, he looked after her until she was a strong, independent woman again. And what happened? It killed their relationship completely. She wasn't the woman he fell in love with anymore. Lots of men go for strong, independent women. But he wasn't one of them. He liked women who were fragile and needed looking after. And that's the danger. Even if you find yourself the perfect partner, they're only ideal for who you are right now, and that's not who you'll be once you've recovered. The person you really are underneath. I'm not saying these relationships can never work, but it's very, very rare. So do yourself a favour. Go away and hide somewhere while you lick your wounds. Enjoy your friends and your family, and wait until you've recovered a bit before you start looking for a new partner. And when you do, try to pick someone whose scars are relatively well healed too. Because of course, this works the other way round as well. That way you can both see each other as you really are and start your relationship the way you want to continue it. I feel this is very good advice about healing yourself. But what I feel so also as a counsellor is a lot of people don't know how to heal. A lot of people, they need help. Some people don't even realise they're the problem or they even have a problem. So they continue getting into relationships with the same sort of people, and the same situations arise again and again, and they don't understand why. And they don't realise that sometimes they're the problem and they're attracting these same type of people, and they need healing. They need to see someone to speak about it. They need guidance. So it's good in one sense saying you need to heal, but some people actually don't know that they've got a problem, and they do not know how to heal either. But I would say if you're continuing down the same road and the same situations are repeating, maybe you do actually need to seek some guidance, seek a counsellor, and actually look in the mirror and see that the problem may just be you. Rule 3. You won't be happy with a partner until you can be happy on your own. I do like this rule. I knew a woman who was always in a relationship. You know, the kind, maybe you're the same yourself. The moment one relationship ended, another started. I asked her once, why this was? And she told me that she didn't like being on her own, so she made sure it never happened. When I got to know her well, she was with a man who was perfectly decent, but who just didn't give her the love she deserved. Why did she put up with it? I asked her. She patiently explained that she had no choice, because the alternative was being on her own, and she couldn't cope with that. In the end though, things got really bad and he left. She braced herself for the breakdown she knew would follow. I saw her a month or so later and asked her how she was coping. She told me, fine at the moment. I thought I'd fallen to pieces by now, but it had obviously taken longer to happen than I expected. I think it was 6 months before it finally dawned on her that she wasn't actually going to break down at all. 3 months later, she met a lovely guy who wanted to get serious and move in together before too long. But she resisted. She was having too much fun being on her own. The point about this is that she stayed in relationships that weren't good and put up with flack she didn't deserve out of fear of being on her own. But once she knew that she was happy on her own, she set her standards much higher and wouldn't put up with second best. She didn't have to. After all, what was the worst that could happen? Well, she could end up back on her own again, but that wasn't a problem anymore. So the moral of this story is that you need to learn to be happy and secure on your own. That way you'll never stay in a bad situation for fear of being left alone. If it's not working out, you can simply leave. Far too many people stay in unhappy relationships because they're scared of being to be alone. Rules players learn to enjoy living alone, so that when they do choose to throw in their lot with a new partner, it's for the right reasons. Once you've mastered this, you only ever live with anyone else because you love them and they make you happy. Being alone is great, but being with them is even better. If that stops being the case, you're free to leave. And what I like about this, I agree with him. I feel that, being on your own is a good thing. It helps you to heal. But more importantly, it makes you understand and know, well, who you are. But the next side of that is you can get so happy being on your own and think, I don't want anyone else. You really enjoy your own space and to do what you want. And you don't have to give that energy to anyone else. Because as much as a relationship can be the greatest thing ever, it can also be very draining. So that's, I wouldn't say it's a downside. I feel that you can just get really preoccupied enjoying yourself. And then when you do meet someone that could be really great for you, you might feel, oh, but I remember last time I was hurt when I got too serious, and I do like not feeling unhappy, not looking at my phone to ring, not wondering what he's doing. You just enjoy yourself, and then all of a sudden it can deter you actually from even getting into a next relationship. So there's two sides to this coin at the same time, but it is important to get to know yourself and spend time with yourself as well. Rule 4, you know them when you meet them. To be quite honest, I'm not sure this is entirely true. Some people do know the instant they meet their future partner that this is the person they've been looking for all their life. But it doesn't work like that for everyone, and that's true. The real rule is that if you're not sure if this is the right one, don't take a gamble on it. Because if they are the right one, you will know it, even if it takes a bit of time. In other words, if it's right, you'll be sure. Either straight away or a bit later, but you will know. If you're absolutely sure this is the right person, the moment you clap eyes on them, you're very lucky, unless it happens to you every time in which case you need to have a serious word with yourself. The important thing, though, is not to commit yourself until you're certain. How many divorced people have you heard say, "Do you know, even on my wedding day, I was wondering if I was doing the right thing"? Well, I can tell you, if you're still wondering about it on your wedding day, then no, you're not doing the right thing. What you're doing is making a big mistake. Marriage and or kids are tough enough when you are sure with the right person. It's lunacy to enter into it without even being certain of that. If you are sure right at the beginning, that's normal. It may take weeks, months, or even years to be sure, especially if you're a natural doubtful persuasion. That's all fine. It's just that until you really are sure, you shouldn't be making a permanent commitment. Your new partner, of course, may be sure sooner than you are. We're all different, but don't allow them to pressurize you into making a decision before you're ready. It's understandable that they want you to commit yourself. You're a wonderful person. Why wouldn't they want to be with you? But no one will benefit if you make the wrong decision. If this is really the right person for you to spend your life with, you won't be thinking, "I don't know, is it me? I'm just not sure if this is right." Well, it will do. You'll be thinking, yes, 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 let's get on with it. If you're not thinking that, you're not ready to commit yourself yet. And I do agree with that, because sometimes, you might be in a relationship or get into a relationship because you think, "I'm getting older now and I don't want to be alone, the children have left home." It could be that you want a partner, you want that financial help, you want someone to be there for you. It could be many reasons why you want to just jump in a relationship, but the truth is, down the road you don't want to be happy. So you have to think about it. So like going back to, I think that was rule number 3, with spending time with yourself is the most important thing. Because if you enjoy yourself, and then you would, enjoying yourself with rule 3, if you enjoy yourself and spend time with yourself, then you won't jump into anything too quickly, because relationships are complicated enough. But at the same time, rules can differ with different people. I don't really think there's much rules to anything except about knowing self. I could read some more of this book with any other time, so just comment below. Thank you for listening. Remember, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and thanks for listening.